Today's going to be awesome. You see, we got the Marshall in here over there. Ernesto's joining us on the broadcast to record some guitars. We got killer drums, killer bass, all that fun stuff done. But first off, please go to recordingninjaworkshops.com. Drop us a note. Sign up for the mailing list. We're going to be getting on that a lot more as the next month or so goes on. I'm going to be cleaning a few things up and shuffling some things around to try to get things out in a more timely fashion and get more information out. So go to recordingninjaworkshops.com. Sign up for the mailing list. So anyway, today, what's happening, Heber?
Guitars, all right? How to get a cool tone for rock, basically.
Yeah, and there's more than one way to skin this cat for sure. We're going to pick one, probably I would say the most normal, or like probably the most used way of doing things today. Now, for me, just to point out real quick, is recording like stereo rock, doubled, you know, big guitars, it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be. I mean, you can make it as complicated as you want with different cabinet setups, multiple cabinets, tons of microphones. There's all sorts of things you can do, but it doesn't have to be difficult. And that's one thing that I hope we show you today, that you can get a really killer sound with only a few pieces of gear and well thought out mic placement. We're gonna treat this like we have one guitar, one amp, that's a really common way, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming a lot of you guys at home might be the same way. You've got one killer amp, you know, you've got one guitar that sounds good. Now, one way to make things a little wider is to use different guitars, but what would you say, if you're gonna use different guitars, what are some of the things to watch out for?
You can take the drastic approach. Let's say one guitar has humbuckers, the other one has single coils, and then you have totally drastic different sounds. You know, one is more twangy, you know, the single coil, and the humbucker is fat. That's one approach. The other one is just another guitar with humbuckers, just a slightly different color.
Right.
So
and that can work. We've done that a lot, actually. He didn't bring it today, but there's his Framus guitar works really well with this one, and a lot of the times we'll use those two guitars. If the guitars are too different, though, especially if you're tracking the same part, like what we're doing today is we've got a rhythm part that's going to be the same on both sides. If our left and right gets too different, yes, it will feel like it's kind of wide and spread out. However, it can start to feel unbalanced, especially if one side is way brighter than the other, and then you might have to make up that with EQ a little bit. So I would say if you're using more than one guitar, make sure you get guitars, especially if it's in a rock thing like this, make sure you get them something that works together that's not too drastically different, right? Would you agree with that?
Yep, totally.
So today, we're just going to use the one. Now, you see the Marshall over here. Hey, can you pan over to the L Marshall? Ooh, do you have a...
This one?
Yeah, pull up that. That's a good shot to pull up. So here's what we're working with. We have the Marshall cab. We have a PR30, the Heil sound, which is one of my faves, and we have the MXL R144 ribbon mic. Now you'll notice that the PR30 is a little bit off axis. It's actually on the edge of the dust cap, pointed toward the center. You can see right there how we've got the PR30 angled towards the center. Now, the thing that we both like about this, and we've been doing a lot of guitars lately, is it takes some of the shrillness out, but doesn't lose too much top end, which is why you pointed back. If you just start moving towards the edge of the dust cap, going towards the outer part of the speaker, it'll just start to get darker. This kind of gets a little out of the way of the direct air, and pointing back towards the center of that dust cap, it allows you to retain some of that high-end clarity. Now the ribbon mic is, I think I have that right on the edge. It's right on the edge of the dust cap. And our point with that is to fill in some fullness. That's what we're trying to do with that mic. Now, one thing to be careful when you're using multiple mics on any single sound source is what? Phase, right? We're running through the Tonelux Pres today, and we set one of them out of phase. Ernesto stayed in here and he played, and I went out and I moved in this case, I moved the PR30 forwards and backwards until it sounded absolutely horrible. It was as thin as possible. It was terrible. And then we came back here and we flipped the phase button and boom, the guitars are nice and full. You can get right up on the grill. We chose to go a couple inches off because it softened it just a little bit. Not much, but it's not too like pointy and kind of help fill things out, especially with the ribbon mic that way. But be sure to check your phase. Yeah, you can move things around in your DAW later on, but if you do it right in the first place, you never have to mess with that stuff. So why don't we get in and want to hear some of this stuff?
Sure.
All right. This is a PR30 only. Okay, now, like you guys saw in the photo, pull that photo up one more time real fast, how the mic is angled off center. Now, if you need more bite, and I'll just go through this now, we have a second PR30 setup out there. Now, we're going to use the angled one today, but if you need some more bite, if it's not, once the song gets going, if it's not enough bite, play that riff again. I'll switch between those two microphones. So just
holy crap.
Just changing that angle, literally the only thing, there is no EQ, we have no compression, that is just mic placement from our angled mic and our direct mic. And that's a great way to kind of think of your push mic, I guess we call it sometimes, is the one that's really gonna push through the mix, is where how you set that is an EQ really, and you could technically record both of these, although we probably won't for today. I'm just gonna go the one. Now, the other mic we have set up is, wanna play the ribbon? Yep. Here we go. Both. I'll flip back between, just so you can hear how just the PR30, the changing the angle, just so you can hear how that different is. Just loop that riff over and over for a second. All right, so starting with the hour setup, which is the ribbon, angled PR30. It's quite a difference you hear in the headphones. Holy crap. Now, you can blend too. I left them set pretty much the same just so you can hear the difference, but you could real easily, the cool thing about this setup is you can, I would always track them separate. I think we both always track them separate because it allows us to blend, re-blend a little bit later. Like there might be parts that say verse. Maybe we want the ribbon to be up a little, hotter and the PR30 down, but when the chorus kicks in, we pull the ribbon down and the PR30 goes up. Maybe they go back and forth. So we build in some kind of sonic differences between the verse and the chorus that way. Or maybe sometimes you just get a good tone and you go, I'm not changing a thing.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to do this thing?
Mm-hmm.
All right, he's gonna rock out. We're getting the left side first, and I've got it panned hard left, all the way out as far as it'll go. All right, here we go. what I'm talking about. Okay, quick question here, a couple of you guys. This cabinet over here is a dummy cab. We're just using it so we don't have to have the head on the floor. Man, I'm getting tangled up. It's one of those. This is totally one of those days. We've had a number of problems. The cabinet, kind of like the base, if you guys saw that one, we have a tie line system that you can't see, but it's behind here where we have 3 different types of wires going through all the walls from the ISO booth in the live room. One's a mono send, a stereo, the second one's a stereo send, and the third one is actual speaker lines, which this is what allows us to have you know, the head in here and go through the wall. So that way we can have the cabinets in there, we can rock out in here. So this cabinet is, yeah, it's a dummy cab. That's it. Any other? Oh, the drums that is actually Abel. We brought in a guest, Abel, who is Ray Luzier's tech and fantastic rock drummer, and he slayed it. You can see that episode's up from 2 weeks ago. Wait till we're done, then go watch it. It's a good one. It's a really good one. Okay, so now it's time to get serious. We're gonna double the sucker up. Again, we're using the same guitar, same amp. The important thing here is to have 2 different takes, you know, like physically played. And it's going to give you, because we want the left and right to be even or sound the same, so it's kind of a wall. We were talking about that with the Metallica thing, right?
Yeah.
Where Hetfield, he's using the same.
Yeah, same setting, everything the same, and he just layers and layers. Yeah.
And that's how they're pretty good at getting wall guitars.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this, you know, we're not doing the AC/DC thing where you have 2 different parts with 2 different players. That's another way of doing it. And you also have the Alice in Chains approach where they did on Dirt, where I know they were blending, I think it was 3 different amps, all with different settings, and they were blending those together. So.
And then you got Rolling Stones, which is each guitar player does its own thing until they maybe come together in the chorus or something.
Right. And that's about as wide, you know, if you pan those things hard left and hard right, it's about as wide as you can get. Which is what we're doing today. We've got everything, the guitars are out, hard left, hard right. The drums I keep in, except for maybe some room mics. My overheads and stuff are little in. I'm trying to leave, I like space on the sides, right? I think you're the same way, right? Leave that space out there for the guitars so we don't have too much competition. Also makes things feel a little bit wider when it's not just all kind of smushed all over the place.
Yeah. Which is a tendency in mixing nowadays, where they pan the drums really wide.
Yeah.
And sometimes the low tom is fighting with the guitar.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, you get like the high tom all the way out here and the
Yeah.
low tom here. So you have a 3-piece kit and it's like donk, donk. But yeah, it does it.
Yeah.
A lot of things start to, there's similar frequencies. You're pushing bottom of a tom, then you're pushing 8K to make it come through. And it's like, man, then it's in the middle of of your guitar. So I like separation because I think it makes things sound wider and actually bigger. The drums punch through, guitars come around the sides. It like starts to like bend around your head a little bit.
Yeah.
So let's get this sucker up. Let's see what this is going to sound like when we double this out. Play, let me make sure you're there. So the guitar he's doing now is on the right. The one we just recorded is on the left. And you're going to hear, I don't know if you guys could tell before, but the original guitar sounds a little low compared to everything else. But let me make sure my levels are the same. And they are. Now when we double it, you're going to notice the guitar, all the tones are like, it's going to come up big time. All right, you ready? Okay, sit tight.
humongous.
Boom! Again, like I said earlier, getting cool double rock guitars doesn't have to be complicated. I mean, honestly, if we only had one mic, that PR30 on its own would totally give us that tone. We just double it up. You know, so we're using two mics. The PR30 is 275, 250 right in there. The MXL 144, which really is one of my favorite guitar mics. Even if I was going to, you know, work at Ocean Way or somewhere else and I was doing guitars, that mic would go in my bag, totally, because it's great. It's 99 bucks. You know, the other thing is, just so everybody knows, I saw the question, we got no compression, no EQ. This is just the EQ on the amp, which is, what is that setting?
Well, let me just look at it. I got presence on like 2 o'clock. Then I got treble about the same, 2 o'clock. Middle, like 2:30, close to 3. Bass, I rolled it back because Marshalls tend to get a little boomy. So this is about 11 o'clock. And we have the deep button pushed in on this JCM 2000. And the gain is almost 12 o'clock, so it's not even high gain.
Right, yeah, watch your...
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, this 2000 is one of my favorite amps for just good old...
Just classic rock.
Classic rock rhythms. And that deep button is the bomb. You push that sucker in and all... It gets nice and full that way. And then beyond that, it's the guitar, the player and the guitar, and then just those two mics, ribbon on the edge of the dust cone, and our PR30 on the edge of the dust cone, but facing, angled towards the middle.
Yeah. Oh, and then for any guitar geeks, you know, they're wondering, okay, what do you got for pickups and all that? Well, this is an alder body guitar. Then we got an ebony fingerboard and a maple neck, right? So all these things sometimes matter. And then pickup, good old DiMarzio Super Distortion. I mean, can't go wrong with it. You know, it's fat. It's not too bright, and yeah, if you got a Marshall, it's a perfect combo.
Yeah, it is a perfect combo. The other thing, mic pre-wise, my Tonelux MP5As, which are my favorite on guitar and bass. They work really, really well. Trident sounds good too, but there's just something about the mid-range and the push that Tonelux gives that just has guitar written all over it. You guys, thank you for joining us. Sorry we got started late. You know, oh my God, it's 7:15. Cool. I love it, man. Thank you guys. Next week, I'll have some information on what we're doing then. In the meantime, a few weeks from now, we're going to get the vocals on here. Keep rocking and recording, you guys. Have a good one. Woohoo!